So I was listening to a podcast by one of Dave Ramsey's personalities, Anthony O'Neill. He hosts a podcast called The Table with Anthony O'Neill. And he was interviewing another Ramsey personality, it's very incestuous over there, named Christy Wright. So Anthony's describing having gotten himself mentally prepared to play hardball with a car dealership for this new car he was going to buy. So he makes the initial call to the dealership and he asks for the salesperson, but he's thrown off guard by the sound of a female voice, which he wasn't expecting. He was all ready to come in for the kill and negotiate really hard, but he froze and went soft when the woman answered. Now, if you haven't heard Anthony, he's normally a very aggressive and decisive person, but he didn't know what to do. He was nervous and his voice even went up, when he talked with her. Instead of being commanding and authoritative, it was like, is there any room for negotiation with the car? That kind of thing. And he hangs up the phone. He's telling this story to Christy Wright, and he said he hung up the phone and he was embarrassed because his natural reaction to this woman was to back down. He couldn't negotiate with her, he said, because he felt like it would have been disrespectful to her to talk to her in that way. Well, I had to laugh when I heard this because it's a fantastic example of how totally unnatural it is for a man to fight with a woman. This is true whether we're talking about business relationships or romantic relationships. Even in the professional sphere, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, for a man to forget he's dealing with a woman. That's why office politics are what they are. Jordan Peterson gave a great interview with a millennial at Vice magazine a few years ago, and he was talking about this very thing. He was talking about makeup and high heels in the office and how that, encourages or accentuates a woman's sexual nature, which of course it does. And the millennial asked Jordan if he thought it was possible for men and women to work, or if he was saying that it's not possible for men and women to work together. And Jordan said something like, I don't know. It's only been tried for a couple of decades. We really don't know, do we? And of course, if you look at what's happening in today's offices, it really isn't working very well. But I'm not here to help with business relationships. I'm here to help with marriages and romantic relationships. And to that end, I will say this. It is very important that women understand how uncomfortable and unnatural it is for your man to fight with you. If you keep this in the forefront of your mind, it will help you structure your conversations with your husband or your boyfriend much better. Every week I help wives communicate with their husbands in a way that allows their message to be heard. And, for example, nagging and complaining is not it. To a man, nagging and complaining is the equivalent of fighting. It invites an altercation of some sort. At least that's how he reads it. So instead of doing that, simply make a declarative statement of desire. So for example, I had a client recently who, she's not married, but she's got a boyfriend. And they are not normally apart. They don't travel. And they do once or twice a year. So she was recently out of town for 4 or 5 days, and he texted her the whole time, but he didn't actually pick up the phone and call her. So she never had a conversation with him, and she was very upset about this and wanted to know what to do. She wanted to go back when she flew back and just basically tell her how sad and upset and we can't do it this way anymore, and so forth and so on, and how can I address this with him, right? And instead of coming in and just sort of bringing this negativity to the table or complaining about it or saying how it has to be different the next time, I said, just give it a few days and then very casually mention, in the course of doing something like dishes maybe, or whatever. I was surprised at how much I really missed hearing your voice when we were away. I would love it next time if we could talk on the phone instead of text. That's it. This taps into a man's automatic desire to provide for you. He wants to give you what you want, but he doesn't want to feel backed into a corner to do it. He wants to freely choose it. If he feels you're his adversary or you're complaining or telling him what to do, he loses the incentive to do so. All she did here in this example was to just state what she wanted, state what she missed, it was all positive. I mean, who's not going to want to hear that someone missed hearing your voice? That's nothing to react negatively to. So just remember that, ladies. Men instinctively don't want to fight with women, but they do want to serve you. which means it's your job as a woman to be the kind of woman he wants to serve.